a divine being who created the universe to be a weak human being.
Exactly.
I want to make a short video about this clip because it perfectly highlights how the Christian conception of God is greater than the Muslim conception of God. You see, Muslims, like the ones in this video, insinuate that a problem with Christianity is the idea that Allah could come down and be a weak human being. They assert that this is nonsense or that it's impossible, yet they don't realize that when they say this, they are actually admitting that the Christian view of God is higher or more respectful than the Muslim view of God. Let's break this down a bit. You see, under the Muslim conception of God, God apparently lacks the power to come down and walk the earth as a human does. However, the Christian conception of God entails that God does have the power to come down and walk the earth in this way. Or is it that the Muslim conception of God is one in which Allah is apparently incapable of humbling himself or letting himself be humiliated by others for the sake of his creation? Yet, under the Christian view of God, though he is all-powerful and worthy of worship, God can nonetheless humble himself. If my Muslim friends object to this, they are admitting that the God they worship is one in which he is apparently so arrogant or so insecure that it is inconceivable that he ever let himself be seen walking with us common folk here on earth. In contrast, Christians believe that Christ, though equal with God, didn't count this as something to be grasped, but emptied himself and took the form of a servant. Are my Muslim friends admitting that it's impossible for Allah to take the form of a servant? If so, it seems like you are admitting that the Christian God has more power than the Muslim God. I want to end with a thought experiment to make my point. Suppose that we have two nations, each one ruled by a different king. In nation one, the king won't even entertain the idea of leaving his castle, as he sees himself as being too good to rub shoulders with the lowly peasants of his kingdom. He barks out decrees and orders for his subjects to follow, and demands loyalty while not allowing anybody to question him or else they be put to death. He never sees the members of his kingdom as anything other than servants. In contrast, in nation two, the king regularly goes out and walks among his people. He sees a wedding and goes and celebrates with the bride and groom, even providing more wine for the festivities. He sees a funeral and he goes and weeps with the mourners, sharing their pain. He asks the local farmer how his crop is doing, and he invites the children playing on the street to come sit on his lap. He opens wide the doors of his castle and invites all the kingdom to come feast with him. He sees those in his kingdom not as mere servants, but as his friends. Out of these two kings, which one would you rather live under? Which one is a bit better leader of his people? After you answer that question, ask yourself this: which one of these kings sounds more like the God of Christianity?